Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. It's March 6th. It's Tuesday. Here we are, kids, on the B Cup, March 6th, Tuesday. And let me just have a little sip of my coffee. I want to talk about something. Again, everything we talk about is important, but the thing that I would really like to talk about right now is I'm so. First off, I'm really happy. I have an awesome life. I hope you have an awesome life too. I feel very blessed in being in the body that I am every day. And I feel very blessed in the fact that I get to speak out my mind without feeling that I'm not allowed to. I feel very blessed in the sense that I am not scared and I don't fear people and I don't fear being pushed back on. I'm very blessed in the fact that I have all you beautiful friends who show up all the time to talk and have a brilliant, awesome, mature conversation. So, that I want to say first. I appreciate you all so much. I appreciate all of you showing up every day to have a fucking coffee and a fucking conversation. So, good morning, Alex and Michael. Is that Michael? Michelle and Amanda and Ashley and Alex and Amanda and Leo and Nate. So, kids, you know what I like. Hi, Nick on YouTube. And I don't know why my YouTube streams so slow. It's so bizarre. But anyway, pretty over YouTube, to be honest with you. They don't like me. I don't know. My voice is a little bit too rough for some people and some platforms. People don't want to talk the truth. People don't want to talk the truth, kids. Alex says, Buck, I would like to talk to you. I've realized that I am not trans. Right on. Whatever you need to do, my friend. We'll talk about why you realize you're not trans and why you thought you were trans before. So that's very interesting to me. I appreciate you saying that. Hi, Steve and Jared. How are you? From the comfort of your bed. And Breeze. Hi, Buck. Miss you. Didn't see you in a long time. Yeah, it's been difficult for me to do the show every day because I have so much going on. But I try to come at least once or twice a week these weeks. And then Nick says, I appreciate what you bring to the community. I appreciate you too. Remember, we can't do this without each other, kids. So, really what I want to talk about, and as you know, my beat cups are becoming a little bit shorter, and I think that's good for us, so we just don't get into like blah, blah. You can get deep. We can easily get deep into these conversations, and then it just, so I feel like cutting it to 20 minutes, 25 minutes is great for us because we get our groove on, we have our coffee. Hi, Philip. We have our coffee, and we get powered up for the day. So that's what I hope that you take away from the B Cup, okay? Alex says, would like to go live with you and discuss this. I wish you could live with me, but you can't. Amanda says, I would love for you to come and talk to my community. Well, anybody, before I get started here, anybody who ever wants me to come and speak in your community, just reach out to me. My email is on buckangel.com. I have a lot of bookings, but I would love to get to where I'm needed in a lot of spaces, if that's what you think. Not that I think I'm needed, but if you think my voice can help, reach out to me. Maybe we can make it work. You know, it's my profession, but at the same time, I always make it work if it's really something that I feel needs to have my voice there. So reach out to me if you need me to, and you want me to come and speak in your area, at your community center, at your church, at your house, whatever you want. Just reach out to me. We can make a community program, okay? So, okay, so just do that. So I want to really discuss this because it's a little bit, I feel not attacked. That's not the word I'm looking for. I feel a little bit like some transgender men are co-opting this idea of FTM. They don't know what FTM is, clearly, because they wouldn't be saying the things they're saying. There's a magazine called FTM Magazine. That magazine has been around for about 10 years. That magazine was started by a friend of mine, Jason. And Jason is a transsexual man like me. He felt like he wanted to represent FTM, transsexual men. So he started the magazine FTM Magazine. It represents transsexual men who were born female and who transitioned to become men. Very masculine, work out, have specific bodies, live their life in the binary, and live as men. Now, all of a sudden, 10 years into the magazine, it might have started happening to him about 5 years ago. People started to attack him and say, you don't have a lot of representation of transgender men in here. You only have binary, cisgender passing men. It's called FTM Magazine. The reason why that is, FTM stands for this and nothing else. And nothing else. FTM stands for stands for female to male transsexual. Period. Are you hearing me? FTM stands for female to male transsexual. Nothing else. Doesn't stand for trans man, doesn't stand for transgender, doesn't stand for gender non-binary, doesn't stand for they, doesn't stand for them. It stands for female to male transsexual. Period. So why are you people who are transgender, non-conforming, non-binary, transgender people fighting about our terminology and telling us that we are not female to male transsexuals? That's what we are. We have been it from day one. We will continue to be it. You cannot co-opt you're co-opting our language in order to create your own space. That is rude, disrespectful, not okay, and we won't let you do it. It is ours. We created it for us in order to have our own identity. This is why I continue to tell you that there is a difference between being trans and there's a difference of being transsexual. FTM is a transsexual person. It is a person who wants to live from one gender to the other gender and create their life in a binary gender. It has nothing to do with being transgender. It has nothing to do with being gender nonconforming. It has nothing to do with being non-binary. It has everything to do with having what we used to call sex change. FTM stands for female to male transsexual, binary people who live in the binary, who create their muscular male looking bodies because they are FTMs and not anything else. Good morning, Stace. Nice to see you, my friend. So I see I get a lot of agreement here. I want to see if I have any disagreement. Do I have any disagreement here? Good morning. Leo says, yep, exactly what I realize. I'm not FTM, and I'm Libra masculine instead. I don't feel a part of the binary. Exactly. You're not. You're not. Claim that. Claim your space, but don't claim the space of others and try to rearrange the identification of it. It's exactly what has happened with the word transgender. That's my next question to you kids. Nate says, why the hell pick on FTM transsexuals for being who they are? Because they are. Because they feel that there is no representation of them in the FTM magazine. The FTM magazine is not your magazine if you first aren't FTM, female to male transsexual. It is not your magazine if you're looking to be they, them, gender nonconforming or nonconforming to masculinity. It is not the magazine for you. It does not represent people outside of the binary. It does not represent transgender people. It represents transsexual people who want to fit in the binary on some level and want to look as masculine as possible. That is what FTM stands for. Why are we continually trying to change these identifications in order to move a certain part of this community forward? Move yourself forward, not on the coattails of others. You are trying to jump on the coattails of the hard work of FTM magazine, of the hard work of the FTM community, in order to create your own space. Create your own space. It's not that difficult. I created my own space. Alex says, I just want top surgery. I really have just for you. Most of men do, actually. Hi, Stace, I miss you. James says, transgender and non-gender binary are completely separate and not the same. See, that's the point I'm trying to make, James. Transgender has become an umbrella term for that, for gender nonconforming. But it doesn't make any sense, because if you're gender nonconforming, why are you using a term that has gender in it? Transgender. Not transgender non-conforming. It's transgender. So why are we now putting gender non-conforming or non-binary under a label of gender? Why aren't you just gender non-conforming? Why do you have to be trans but then gender non-conforming? There's now becoming these like, like in websites where they have drop-down menus, right? Transgender now has a drop-down menu, a subcategory of a subcategory. Are you kidding? T. Dawson says there are plenty of words to go around. It saddens me when I see why we can't all pull together. Be sad, my friend, because it's true. We all struggle as being who we are. There is so much animosity, jealousy, envy. I can't have it, so you can't have it. Really? Really? That's how we're talking to people? Hey, Gino, nice to see you. We're talking to other trans men in this community with a hurt ego because you can't grow a mustache, because you're having a hard time dealing with not having your masculine body, because you feel like you're never going to achieve it. So because of that, you don't want anybody else to achieve it. That's the most selfish, destructive, rude behavior I have ever seen from a community. Why would you feel so victimized and so not in your own skin to not want anybody else to have it? Because that's basically what you're saying. If I can't have it, you can't have it. That's jealousy, and that's envy, and that is disrespect, and that is such a level of self-hate. I can't even believe that we're even having the conversation. Alex is still banging a ass. FTM magazine is an important fucking magazine, and I want you to know this. I'm now attached to that magazine, and I'll be writing columns in that magazine, FTM magazine. And it is a magazine about FTM transsexuals, nothing else. If it wants to represent gender non-conforming people, it will do that. If they want to do that, they will do it on their own time, but they will not be forced into it. Number one. Number two, it doesn't represent gender non-conforming. Make your own magazine. Call it GNC. Why are you not making your own magazine? Why are you coming to other magazines and trying to infiltrate and push your own agenda? It's like going to the New York Times and deciding that you want to rearrange the whole Times magazine because you don't like their editorials and you don't like what they're reporting on. Start your own newspaper. James says it's like saying a dog is a cat. Yes, exactly. Some people are, we're talking about the same thing, Stacy. Roman says, I'm FDM, I get it. Word, they will be, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous, kids. It's ridiculous. T. Dawson says, part of this is based on the underlying assumption that gender is binary. A continuum can continue binary. Listen to this for me, T. Dawson. I believe in the binary. I believe 100% in the binary. I believe there is masculine, there is feminine, there is male, and there is female. I believe there is everything in between, which is awesome. But many of us, including myself, believe in the binary. I live as a man, a binary man, every fucking day. Binary exists. It is real. You're never going to take it away. It is a fact. It is a scientific fact that binary gender exists. That said, what is constructed is not gender. What's constructed is the gender actions. That's what's constructed. The gender actions, how to act like a man, is socially constructed, not gender. Gender is really a fact. Now, I know what you're going to say is DNA. We could just rename it if we wanted to. Call it black and blue. Those are genders. We don't have to call it male and female, but black and blue exists. It is a fact. It is a scientific fact that a person comes out a specific way, genitals, all of these things. And those we have named male and female for whatever reason we have. And I believe myself as a male person. I do believe it 100%. You can never take that away. But what you can add to it is everything in the middle. Roman says trans men movement across the construct that is being moved across the binary. Jared says often appears that if there is not a one-size-fits-all arrangement, arms go up creating divide between divide instead of loving yourself, right? Instead of loving yourself. Alex says just because your ass is on a diet doesn't mean it's not going to go hard on some donuts. What? I don't even understand what that means. Stacy says, yep, I see a lot of jealousy. You should celebrate. Why, though? Why? Why are we jealous of each other? Why? Jealousy is such a wasted emotion and such a bad thing. It'll never get you out of anything. Ever. Ever. So, Steve says, why do they need to do this war? I mean, I'm going to tell you why, Steve, because there is some jealousy involved. There's some jealousy and envy, and I know this also from people being in the groups, and I'm asking them, why are trans guys acting out like babies? And like, I can't have that, you can't. And he said, because there's a lot of that in these groups. He's like, in 20 groups, this trans guy. He's like, it's the same in all the groups. You can tell they attack the very masculine trans men who identify as men, as bad people, and as conforming to the cisgender society. I'm not conforming. I have a vagina. So Nat says, my books include lesbian and non-binary characters because those characters are who I am and what I recognize. Those are the youth I write. Why would I book at an audience I don't have an... Yes, I can't talk to an audience I don't know. Good morning, Robert. I can talk only to the people I know, which are you, and I can only talk about my own experiences. I can't talk about why you're gender nonconforming, and I can't talk about why you feel a certain way. But what I sure can help you to understand is the definitions of our community. And the definition of FTM, transsexual, is female to male transsexual. It has always been that way. It will always be that way. There is no other definition for FTM. It means you are a female to male transsexual who has decided to transition from a female to a male and live your life in the masculine form. Whether you like it or not, I don't give a fuck, because it's the reality of what that actually stands for. So get a fucking stand up, listen with your ears open, and stop trying to co-opt other people's identification in this community. You already co-opted transgender. You took it and you made it into something that nobody even knows what it is anymore. Nobody knows what transgender is. Can you tell me what transgender is? I can tell you right now, here and there, what the definition of transsexual is. Can you tell me what the definition of transgender is right now, today, at 9 a.m. in the morning on March 6th? Does anybody have the actual definition of transgender? Fucking love coffee. I love it. And I actually got a better almond milk that foams in my mustache. Come on, kids. Time is ticking. Does anybody actually have the definition of what transgender is? Good morning, Chris and Kelly and Robert and Xander. Good morning, my friend. Elliot says, I see that in the younger groups more so. Joined a group for older trans men over 40. None of that there. Speaks volumes, Elliot. Jared says, why can't we have an FTM in a GNC magazine? I'm sure there are plenty of folks who come. Why not? Start it. FTM magazine isn't going to do that because that's not the market for FTM magazine. It's like saying, Buck, why can't you make GNC pornography? Because that's not my vision and not my vision as a pornographer. And I don't want to make. I know nothing about GNC. Nothing. It's not my life. I respect it 100%, but it's not who I am and not what I talk about. So, of course, I can't create movies. That's my point, Jared. Why instead are they coming to a magazine and attacking it and saying that there's no representation of GNCs, yet it's an F to M magazine? It's like saying a black magazine doesn't have any representation of white people. Really? Of course it doesn't. It doesn't want to have any representation of white people. It's not about white people. So why should an F to M magazine have representation of gender nonconforming when that's not what the magazine is about? Does that make sense to you? Start your own fucking magazine. Edra says, good morning, Buck. I love you so much. Thank you for always speaking the truth and for taking the time every day to... It's not the truth, Edra, thank you. It's my truth. It's what I think. And I want to make this a dialogue, and I want to talk about these things in order to create a space where we can all exist, because we're not all existing anymore. We're all hating each other, and we're all, you're this. Oh, you should see these kids say the things they say to me. Oh, Buck, you're just a problematic person in this community. You're just not a good person. You just need to own up to it. You're too old now. You need to go away. You're played out. Whatever. Whatever you think, children. You can think whatever you want. Trampa isn't going anywhere. I don't care if you like my voice. I don't care. It's my community too. I built this community. It is partly mine, and I will stick to this community as long as I'm not dead, whether you like it or not. It doesn't mean that I'm problematic. It actually means I'm actually, what am I doing? I'm challenging you. People don't like to be challenged in this community. People like to think they are right, and that's the way it is. And we're not challenging enough. We're not challenging enough your idea of what FTM is. This old fart is going to tell you what FTM is. It's female to male transsexual. That's what it is. Period. Done. I will continue to educate the masses on their, what? Non-understanding of what it means to be a transsexual and a transgender because they've been duped. They've been lied to by the transgender community. They have been lied to by people who are gatekeepers, telling people in the cisgender world that transsexual is a bad word. Don't use it. No, it isn't a bad word. It's an actual real identity. It's me. And it's why I've become out as a huge activist for transsexuals and not transgenders. And yes, I do speak for transsexuals. I speak for myself as a transsexual person. FTM. I am an FTM transsexual. Female to male transsexual. I created my masculine body in order to live the world as a man. Does that make you a transsexual? Yes, it does. So maybe you just need some clarification of your own identity. Young trans kids are coming to me and saying, Buck, what am I? Buck, what am I? Really? Roman says, movement across the gender binary from one side to the other. Robert says, transgender, I believe, is someone who is male or female who believes they are the opposite sex, or is that who they identify as? See, Robert doesn't really even know. Chris says, means to transition from one gender to another. That's what it used to mean, Chris, transgender. Doesn't mean that anymore. Good morning, Austin. Nate says, I can give you an etymology of that trans when put up the beginning of the words means beyond. According to the dictionary, transgender denotes a person whose sense of personal identity and gender doesn't correspond with their birth sex. That's the original definition of transgender. It's not what it means anymore to supposedly the transgender community. Supposedly, it doesn't mean that anymore. There are no more definitions for transgender. Remember what I said? Transgender is now an umbrella term for gender nonconforming. How can gender nonconforming be under transgender when transgender means dealing with your gender? So if you're gender nonconforming, you're not dealing with your gender because you don't even have a gender. It's like taking your car to the auto mechanic, but you don't own a car. Why are you going to the auto mechanic when you don't have a car? Is your car like an invisible car? And you're taking your invisible car to the mechanic? And the mechanic is like, hold up, wait a minute, where's your car? And you're like, oh, actually, my car isn't really there, but it's there over there in the corner, but I'm not really sure where my car is. But it's like, really, I do have a car. What are you talking about? You brought your car to the auto mechanic, but you don't have a car. It's the same thing with gender nonconforming being under transgender. It doesn't make sense. And it has now watered down the definition of transgender to where nobody even knows what trans is anymore. There is no clear-cut definition of being a transgender person. There is a clear-cut definition of being a transsexual. Period. Alexander says there are so many explanations nowadays of transgender that it's almost impossible to give. It's impossible, Alexander. Impossible. Leah says transgender, identifying with any gender that you were not assigned with at birth, including no binary genders, which is not what it should be because that doesn't make sense. Somebody rewrote it because it's supposed to be a transition. But the transition part is only expected to happen in one's own head now, and it seems to be enough. It is so confusing. That's not transgender. The word gender shouldn't even be in there if you're gender nonconforming. Fuck the shit, Stacy. But we can't. Fuck the shits. The reason why we can't fuck the shits is because if we just continue to let them run rampant in our community, they are destroying our community. They are destroying a huge part of our community. They have made people not understand who they are, who we are. They have made our own people confused about their own identity. When you start to confuse your own community about your own identity, you got a lot of problems. And that's why we have a lot of problems. That's why we have a lot of problems. Nobody knows what their identity is. I am so set in my identity. I am so confident in my identity. People take it as other things. People in our community take it as that I have an ego. People take it in that I am an asshole. People take it that I am not in any way open to other things. That is not what I am. I'm a confident, secure man who used to be a woman, who talks all about my sex change, and who really advocates for becoming yourself, because that's what I did. And if that in some way hurts your feelings, what is happening with you? You should be happy for me. You shouldn't be unhappy for people who have found themselves in a community where we're all looking for our identity. That's what being in the trans community is about. It's about looking for your true identity and whatever that identity is. But that said, there are specific slots for those identities. And one of those slots is called FTM. And FTM stands for female to male transsexual. Now, there are transsexual and transgender people out there who don't like to say they were born as the gender they were born in. For example, I always say I was born a female. I was born a female. Done. That's the reality of it. I was born as a woman, and I transitioned to become a man. Oh, I get about a butt fucking backlash for that. You weren't born a woman. You were born lied to. And no, don't tell me what I was born in. I was born as a woman. I'm very proud of the fact that I transitioned from a woman to a man. I'm very proud of my fight to become myself through surgery and hormones and therapy, mental health care, and walking the world as a man where I used to be a woman. Don't tell me my own journey. I was born as a woman, whether you like it or not. Now there's this idea that you were never born a woman. Yeah, you were. Get over yourself. You people cannot change reality. You're trying to change reality. Reality. This is reality. Your skin is reality. Your chest is reality. And the reality of it is, yes, you were born a gender, whether you like it or not. Now, they made a mistake. That's the conversation. They made a mistake. You were born in a gender. They made a mistake. Stop trying to make it as if it's something else. There is nothing else. It's black and white. It's black and white. T. Dawson says, sex is a biofact as an intersex. Gender is how someone identifies and performs. If external performance doesn't meet cultural expectations, it's non-conforming. So the question of non-conforming goes to, it is on the eyes of the beholder. Just like the Supreme Court punted when trying to decide what porno... Exactly. It is in the eye of the beholder. Right there when you're born, it's in the eye of the doctor. I'm not saying that's right, and I'm not saying that's wrong. We have definitely made gender genitals. Genitals are how you are determined as a male and a female. I totally understand how that's not true. My vagina, how do we understand what is male and female? How do we understand that when the baby is born? What we need to understand is maybe you don't need to be appointed a gender when you are born. Maybe in a sense we need to say all children are born genderless. Then we need to say, now let the child grow up understanding what their own gender is. I would have clearly grown up knowing my gender was male. I always did. I always would have. The turmoil came when the doctor told my parents that I was really a girl and not a boy because of my vagina. That's where the turmoil came. But if we started to teach doctors that genitals don't make you masculine or male or female, but you are born as a genderless child, then I guarantee you we are going to have less problems in the world, because you are going to be able to grow up finding your own identity and finding your own gender without the fucking pointing and pushing you into a corner from somebody who only knows your genitals, not who you are as a person. Does that make sense? Leo says, I've always seen it as a transitioning from one gender to another. I went from female, Libra, masculine. I've had top surgery, been on testosterone for a bit, but everyone's transition is different. But we're not respecting everyone's transition. I think everybody is different and equal at the same level. So if we consider transgender as the middle side between male and female, exactly. Exactly. Kelly, Irene, binary is like two sides, male and female. Yes. Hi, Tori. Nice to see you. Okay, kids, I gotta go. Oh, gosh. See how we get onto this? Robert says, I may be wrong, but the whole reason I joined the B Cup, I'm not a trans, just a gay man who is trying to understand. No, we love you, Robert. Stay here. We have a lot of cisgender people here. I would say more of the people in the B Cup are cisgender than transgender. 100%. It's because I want to teach you. I'm not here to teach the trans community. They already know. They're on their own way. I don't have time and energy to fight either. I don't have energy to fight. I'm not fighting with anybody. I'm here to tell you what I think. This is all about my opinions. This is all about me making conversation because there's fear in talking about the subjects I talk about. So I'm opening up fearful conversation in order to give you a platform, Robert and Leah and all of you people out there, in order for you to talk about the things that you tend to be scared to talk about as cisgender people. So I love cisgender people. They are part of my life. I love transgender. I like everybody. That said, though, I, as a transsexual man, want to give you a platform for a voice, to talk to me, to ask me questions, because you are hearing things that are wrong. I'm telling you right now, you are hearing things that are wrong. Leah says, Kelly Irene, yes, basically it's a difference than gender fluid, which is identifying as one as a time. Non-binary is identifying as none or both. So gender fluid means that you can go back and forth. T. Dawson says, the only grounded term is the sex someone was assigned at birth. Any deviation from the original assignment is considered to fall under trans, which becomes problematic. Kelly Irene says, Robert, I'm a cis straight female and I watch for the same reason. I want to learn. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You guys are all so great. Zoen says, the people who get pissed about your experiences are shaky. Yeah. Kara says, I identify as GNC and I'm perfectly happy this way. Seriously, why all the drama? I don't know. I mean, if I wanted to transition, I would. That's simple. It's 100%. Yes, exactly. We have a GNC in the house. Right on, Kara. And I don't understand either, Kara. I bless you. I'm proud of you. I feel for you. I'm there for you. I'm a support for you. But you're not transgender. You're GNC. Totally different. Does that make sense? That makes sense to me. We don't need to have drop-down levels. It waters down identities. It takes away from what other people's identities are. We don't need to do drop downs. We need to all have identities across the board equal. When you drop down, it weakens this identity. And I don't understand why you would want to weaken your identity. Alexander says, don't tell me who I am. I was a woman that had 2 children, and now I'm a man who gave birth to 2 children. Right on. There you go, my friend. Okay, I love all you guys, and Tori's a cis chick. Aren't you, Tori? I actually, for some reason, thought you were trans. Joseph says, and then this touches into the world of drag queens. Oh, tomorrow we'll talk about drag queens. Oh, God. There's a huge, actually, no, we're not. Let's talk about drag kings, because I can't really talk to that. Somebody will say I shouldn't speak to that. You're right, I'm not a drag queen, and I'm not a trans woman, and I can't really speak to that. But there is also, between drag queens and trans women, blah. So, I love all of you. Before I go, I want to tell you this very important message. Okay. I hate saying this if it comes off of these people are acting like toddlers. They are acting, and you don't need to hate to say that. So, I'm going to leave you guys with this interesting thing that happened a couple days ago. So, as you know, I talk a lot about also community programs that are in our communities and great community programs. And one of the great community programs that somebody started was called Trans Lifeline. And Trans Lifeline is a trans-run organization that is a suicide prevention hotline. Well, they've been around for a couple, maybe 4 or 5 years. And when they started, I donated. I and my friend who owns a company called Groovy, and we are both pornographers, donated to them some money. They refused our money. They said, no, we will not take your money because, first off, you're pornographers and we don't want your money. Secondly, one of the companies uses the word tranny in their marketing. They have tranny porn. They call it trannyporn.com, and they use tranny. Lifeline would not take our money as if we had dirty money. Yet they are supposed to be helping people not commit suicide in our community. Yet they won't take my money. Unbelievable. I got on the phone with one of the owners, her name is Greta, and Greta is a bully, a fucking bully. I'm saying it here live. She bullied me, and she told me that my money wasn't good there, that they don't want to be associated with anything pornography. And I go, but wait a minute, Greta. Aren't you trying to save lives? Don't you think my $1,000 donation could help fund some of the callers on the line? I don't care. It's my call and it's my company, and I don't want to take your money or any money from people who use the word tranny. I go, you're putting your own personal involvement into a program that is going to be run by community people and community money. And how dare you act as if my money is lesser than because I'm a sex worker? Shame on you. Shame on you, shame on you. And that was our conversation. And I said to them, you're going to go down, lady, because you already have the bad. Anyway, long story short, they removed Greta. And they removed Nina, two of the women who started the program, because for many years, they have been doing sketchy shit. They have been doing sketchy shit behind everyone's back. I'm not going to say what it is, but people have been sending me a lot of information. I have a lot. Well, they have been removed from the board of directors and they have been swooshed away. Wait till they start to do an internal investigation and you see what's going on inside of that trans lifeline. And it's why I told you to not be associated with that program, because they have an agenda. And they are not a good organization. But now I will tell you this. They got rid of the people who have brought that fucking goddamn important program down. They brought that program down to the ground and they destroyed it. But now they remove them. And now the program is going to hopefully bounce back and become a very strong program. But remember what I told you. We need to watch people in this community. You can't just let people run rampant in here without any kind of exposure or any kind of being watched, right? Or any kind of openness. We need to see what's going on. Transparency is important, especially with organizations that are attached to our community, and especially organizations that save lives. So that said, keep your eye on Trans Lifeline right now. It is very important that we make sure that we watch this organization and make sure that it gets itself back up to where it should be. I donate there. Many people donate there. But I'm not going to donate there if my money is going to support somebody's habit to travel around the United States in a RV instead of answering phones. That is not okay. Anyway, I needed to bring that information to you because it's very important. Read about it. It's on my page. I love you guys a lot. You're amazing and awesome. Go to the day. Create the day. What day is it? It is Tuesday. I'm speaking on a panel tonight at the Soho House in Los Angeles about sex and cannabis. Ha! My new drink is coming out soon, and you're going to love it. And don't forget this. You can only make you, and that's it. Nobody else can. So if you don't love yourself, my friends, nobody's going to love you. So I'm going to go, but love yourself, my friend. I'll see you in the next